With this workflow, you can take the transcripts from your client meetings and have AI process them, figure out what upcoming events they need to do, what activities they need to do, what were the highlights of the meeting, what were the low points that they've experienced. And it puts it all together into a single report that creates a summary of the meeting that you've had with your client for your records as well as for the clients. Simply upload a Google Docs transcript of the meeting, and in a couple minutes, this workflow will output a beautifully crafted PDF summary of everything you've talked about and what the client has to know. All right, let's take a look at how this workflow actually works in practice. So what we do is we're going to come over to Slack up here, and I'm going to tell my bot that I've had a client meeting. I actually have a transcript over here in my Google Drive, and that needs to be here because when we're pulling from the transcript, we also have to have a spreadsheet called Coaching Summary and Recap, where our client information is. So I've got different client names here, their contact information, the day that they would normally have their meeting, the weekly cadence that they would have, and each of the clients has a tab for themselves. And this is going to be important for what the workflow is going to be doing. But here we go. Let's go ahead and go in here, and I'm going to say something like, hey, I just had my weekly meeting with Chase. Today is July 7th. Chase seems to be having some trouble figuring out whether the thing that he's selling are actually widgets or if he needs to brand it better. And so we want to make sure we focus on that today. All right, so just like that, we're going to go ahead and send that kind of message. The bot is going to go, and I'll show you real quick. It's going to process it through. It's then going to confirm some details with me because I just said Chase, right? Like I want these bots to be able to use natural language so that it is able to tell me who the client is and not need me to use very specific names every single time. I want to be able to use this how I would naturally use this. So our bot has responded. It comes back. It found my client name is Chase Kafunga. Meeting date was July 7th. That's today. Our meeting type is weekly, which is, and coach notes, Chase is having trouble figuring out whether the product he's selling are actually widgets, or he needs to brand them better. Focus for today is on clarification and branding strategy. Please confirm that the meeting summary is correct, which it is. All right. In fact, if I come over to my document here, my meeting cadence is weekly. Did it give me his email? I'm fairly certain it did. No, it didn't, but it's fine. So we're going to say, perfect. That works great. Let's go ahead and do it. So we're going to go ahead and send that. And what's going to happen is this bot is going to go through a process now. First, it's going to pull our meeting transcript. Again, that's in my Google Drive. It's going to process some information out of it. It's going to pull some more information out of the spreadsheet I showed you, including his contact information, whether there's any past meeting notes that are necessary to be taken a look at. And then it's going to just write. It's going to write a whole bunch of stuff in order to be able to create the summary document that's going to go over our meeting. Now, let me show you really quick. I did have a transcript here. All right, so we got transcript. You know, it's a few pages. It's not super long, something like a 15-minute call or so. And this was all generated by ChatGPT. This isn't one of my real clients. So we just have a transcript in there. And what it's doing is it's going to pull out the important parts. It's going to pull out the highlights. It's going to pull out the low points that he's experienced. It's pulling out the action items that I explained that he needs to do. It's going to talk about the homework he has to do. All of that. It's going to go through each and every single one of those steps. And at the very end, it's going to generate a PDF document, a full summary of our meeting, and it's going to send it to my client. All right. And then it's going to report back to me via Slack, letting me know that it has done this. So most likely I'm going to have to wait a second in order for this to do it, but I will be back in just a second. All right. The meeting summary you requested has been completed and sent to your client at my email address, which is the client's email address up here in the spreadsheet. That's right. Whoopsie, Slack. All right. And that's it. So let me go over to my email really quick. All right, that's my Facebook email. Here we go. That's not it. Refresh. There we go. Meeting summary 2025-07-07, Chase Kafunga coaching session. Hello, Chase Kafunga. Your meeting summary for our coaching session held on, year, month, date. Maybe found attached. Sincerely, coach name. Obviously, I have a placeholder there. Let's go and check this document out. So executive coaching summary. We have placeholders for coaching name and coaching company. Perfect. Session overview. All right, the day and when it is and the coaching name. Main topics addressed in our previous meeting: clarifying product identity, exploring branding versus product definition, refining messaging strategy. That's all right. All right, topics addressed in this meeting. All right, we got key topics discussed. So we got the session summary, the summary of main topics, frameworks, tools, or models referenced, notable quotes from the transcript of things that are important to remember. All right, client wins in progress. We got some session summary there as well. All right, tangible wins or achievements, mindset shifts or breakthroughs, positive feedback and reflections, challenges and roadblocks, the summary again for our whole section of that section there, behavioral patterns or habits, situational or environmental constraints that he's experiencing, such as lack of existing targeted social proof or customer story framework, perfect, internal tensions or avoidance, decisions and action items, so the things that we agreed that he was going to have to do, confirmed actions, so he's going to rewrite his homepage headline and subhead, and all of this is in this transcript, wherever that transcript went. Right? No, it's the other workflow. Oopsie. Other page. It's over here somewhere. It's right over here. Right there. So it's all in this document somewhere. All right. So what we've got coaches' observations and insights, what's working, mindset patterns and blind spots, coach recommendations, gentle course corrections, accountability plans, what will be reviewed in the next section, the metrics, goals, and KPIs being tracked, support requests by the clients, what they think they need help with, and then some resources that were shared, and next session details. So our next section will be Monday the 14th. That'd be a week from today since Chase meets with me weekly. Tentative agenda or prep instructions. So this is what he's going to need to do or in order to be ready. And then any pre-work that's necessary. So update the homepage copy, create and launch 2 to 3 ads using newly crafted hooks, and write and send emails in the new text your friend style. So like everything that was in the transcript is neatly put into this document in some way. It is absolutely gorgeous. Like I'm jealous of myself. Like I did years of coaching and I'm like, I wish I had had this thing. As always, you can get today's workflow by going to our free Skool community where we keep all of our past workflows, training videos, tools, and templates. You can also join hundreds of AI enthusiasts all looking to grow their businesses with AI-powered automations. And make sure to join us in our advanced community where we have over 20 hours of additional AI and N8N training courses to help you learn how to ride this AI wave, as well as a group of committed AI-focused business owners all looking to help each other grow and scale. All right, so let's go ahead and dig into this, show you how this actually works in practice, step by step. So if you're familiar with my workflows, many of my bots kind of have the same intro section, like this part right here. And this is how I activate Slack and how I'm able to have it have conversational memory with me in a way that it allows it to be able to, every thread is the conversation. It knows all the conversation that we're going on, and anything I discuss with it is going to be able to be pulled back in and referenced properly, all in chronological order by having this set up right here. And so what we do is we start off with a Slack trigger node. I'll zoom in further for you here. Slack trigger node. You're going to want to set up a Slack bot. If you don't yet have a Slack bot, I'll have a video in the description below on how to set up a Slack bot for you. All right, but set up your Slack bot, triggers on any event, channel to watch for, pick the channel that you want your bot to live in, and then make sure that you ignore the bot. It's so important to make sure that you're ignoring the bot. Otherwise, what will happen is it's going to create this endless loop of the bot responding to itself, and then it's not good. So just make sure to ignore the bot. We then run it through this code node. Now, I'll tell you, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to program. I don't know how to do any of that. ChatGPT wrote this for me. Basically, I told it what information I need to get out, and then it wrote this for me, and it's going to get that information out. So what we're getting is our user ID, the text, if we send it any text, the timestamp that the message is sent. If it's part of a thread, then the thread timestamp lets us know if it's part of a thread. Any files that are attached, and that includes the audio file that I just sent it, as well as it defines our session ID. Now, our session ID is important because in order to be able to have that conversational memory, there's 2 types of place that it could have been in Slack. It could have been at the top of a thread, or it could have been somewhere in a thread. Now, if it's at the top of a thread, you don't get a thread timestamp. And so the memory would break if we just had thread timestamps. And so we have to have a version that is given a session ID number if it's at the top of a thread, just to be able to pass it through the bot in order to be able to get it through the whole thing until we're able to generate that thread timestamp. So here, what we're doing is we're creating either a session ID based on the user ID, colon, and then the word top, or the user ID, colon, and then the thread timestamp. And I'll discuss that a bit more as we go through. Now, what's going to then happen is we have a switch here. The switch is going to determine whether or not we sent it a voice message or if we're just sending it text. If we send it just text, it'll go on the text branch. If we send it a voice message, an M4A file, then it'll go on the top branch. And the top branch is going to transcribe that message, and then it's going to send it as text through the rest of the workflow. All right, so if it's audio, it comes through this HTTP node. We're doing a GET request using this URL. It's just the URL that we're pulling out of Slack in order to get the M4A, the audio file that we sent it. You have to make sure you set up your Slack OAuth 2 credentials, all right? Not the bot credentials, your Slack OAuth 2 credentials. And this is how you would post and do things into Slack. Again, it's all described in that video below. All right, we're gonna come down here to response. You want a response format of file and an output in field called binary. All that information is then going to come into this OpenAI node here. That's if you don't have OpenAI, all my bots I use OpenAI, I use ChatGPT. I have a video in the description below on how to set up OpenAI so that you can start using these bots, all right? But this is an OpenAI node. Our resource is audio. Our operation is transcribe a recording. And our input field is called binary. Well, our output field from the one before it was called binary. Our input here is binary, and that's what it's going to be transcribing is the audio file. Now, if we send a text message, it's going to simply be text, all right? And so we're just calling it text once again. That way, both of these, whichever one it goes through, is going to be called text as it comes out into this edit field node. So this edit field node sets text right here so that we have the message that we're sending to the bot in one place. We're grabbing our user ID, the timestamp, as well as the thread timestamp if we had one, and the session ID based on what the code node output. So either top or that thread timestamp one. All that information is going to be then passed forward to this merge node, as well as coming down this bottom path here where we have an if node. This if node is checking whether the session ID number that we found from the code node contains the word top. So again, if it's a top level message in Slack. If it is, it's going to bypass our memory node here, our Postgres memory node, because there's no memory to pull. There's no conversation for it to need to find. So it's going to bypass it, go straight to this code node. If the session ID contains the word or contains a thread timestamp, then it'll go down to this Postgres node here and pull out our memory from our memory table. All right, and I'll explain how it gets into there later. But for now, just be aware that this is a Postgres node. You need to have Postgres credentials. I'll have a video link in the description below on how to set up your Postgres chat table to be able to have this work with your bots. All right, set up your credentials. Our operation is select. Our schema is public. Our table is whatever table you have for your chat for your bot. All right, I have mine set to a limit of 20. Probably not having too much back and forth with this bot. You don't have to worry about having a high limit. We're selecting the rows based on our session underscore ID. So that's the session ID that we're pulling on with the thread timestamp included. And so we're just pulling that from our if node, from the set field node before that, all right? That's the one that has the thread timestamp in it. It's going to pull all of the table items that are attached to that thread timestamp, which should be our entire conversation history in the thread. That's all going to get passed to this code node here. This code node is going to put all of those messages into chronological order. So messages that you send to the bot and messages the bot sends to you back and forth. It's going to put all of those into chronological order. And then it's going to output them somewhere down here along with the session ID. It's going to give you the combined content of those messages. It's going to let you know the previous conversation chain. So all of my bots are part of like one super Uber bot. And so in order to be able to make sure that my Uber bot knows which path it had just been down, so when I respond to it, it's able to go back down that path, I have a conversation chain. So for you may not necessarily need this. If you have an operator style, executive assistant bot, having a conversation chain will allow it to remember which path it's going on. And in this case, it's going down this after meeting report writer. All right. Last added would be the last message that the bot received. So it's going to send all of that forward. All of that gets added to this merge node. It's merging everything together as a combined method based on our session ID value. So whether that contained the word top or it contained the thread timestamp, it's going to put all of that information together and pass it forward now. All right. And that's kind of my standard opening to my bots. Moving forward, we're then going to take all that information and run it through this information parser here. So it's an AI agent. We give it my current request, the current thing I'm asking it to do, as well as the full conversation history that we've had together. I have an output parser attached to it. You'll see this here. So we're going to get out the client name, the meeting date, the meeting type, my coaching notes that I've given to the bot in my message to the bot, and whether or not I've confirmed with the bot that I'm ready for it to start making the meeting summary document for me. All right. My bots, I like human in the loop. I don't want my bots just going off and doing random things. I want to see what they're doing, and I want to confirm that I want it to do this. And so what this bot is doing is it's pulling from the information that we've sent it here in our system prompt. So it's going to pull from my message to it, as well as our prior conversation history. So both the messages from me and from the bot. Okay, we have my current message and our conversation history. This agent gets all of that. And it's supposed to see if it can figure out what the client name is, the meeting date, the meeting type, the coaching notes, and whether I have confirmed that I'm ready for it to create that summary. So it's going to get those inputs, the current message and the previous conversations. It's going to extract all that information out. So if I give it just a first name, well, how is it supposed to know that? It may not. So if it doesn't know the name of the client just based on the first name, it will output an empty field. In which case, it's going to go to another path. In fact, let me show you really quick. If it doesn't have everything it needs, it's going to come up this top path here, which is attached to a Google Sheets node, which is attached to my client list. All right, I'm fairly certain it's this one here. This is where my client list would live. And so by saying Chase, it's going to be able to see that there is a Chase Gafunga in here. It'll know, oh, the coach means Chase Gafunga. If I'd said Darren, it would have found Darren. If I'd said Friga, it would have found Friga. All right. Either way, this bot is going to try to figure out if it knows who I'm talking about just based on the context of the conversation we've had with the bot. If not, then it'll go through another process. If it hasn't been confirmed, it'll go through this process regardless. The first time you message the bot, it's going to go through this process. That is going to try to find all of those additional details that it needs to be able to give you all of the information here to then pass forward and make sure everything is done properly through the rest of the bot. Okay, just there's a lot of logic going on to make sure that what you are talking about is what the bot outputs. All right, so we're gonna get the client name. We're also gonna get the meeting date. Preferably the meeting date is mentioned by the coach somehow, some way in the message to the agent. So either last Tuesday or yesterday or whatever. So you have to give it some context of when the meeting was. All right, and in this case, we're also giving it a date map. We're giving it a big old date map too. So we're giving it today's date as well as today's formatted date. We're giving it tomorrow and the next 14 days. So it knows, or the past 14 days, I should say. So it knows what the date is for the past 14 days. So if you say, oh, it was last Tuesday, the bot's going to be able to go, okay, here's today. It understands, as I'm recording this, today's Monday. So if I said last Tuesday, it's going to be able to go back X number of days because the way I have this formatted, we come over here, you see it says what day of the week is. So if I come back, today is Monday, I go back to Tuesday, and then Tuesday, July 1st. And so it will be able to output July 1st, 2025 as the meeting date. And in fact, it's actually going to output it in year, month, date format. You can have it whatever you want, just how I have my bot set up. I think year, month, date is the preferred method for doing anything. It's how I've been doing it since I was a lawyer. All right, meeting type. It's going to check the notes that we've sent it, either your current message or its previous conversation, to see whether it can tell whether you have daily meetings, weekly meetings, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, however you have your meetings. It just wants to make sure that it's able to have that information for purposes of putting it into the document. We also give it some coaching notes. So adding some additional context, like what were your thoughts? Yeah, it's great that we've got the transcript, but what were your thoughts that might need to be added in order to flesh out the information that's going to be going to the client? All right, and confirmed. If it's checking for that prior conversation history, whether you have confirmed, or if your current message more specifically, is confirming that all of the information that the bot is presenting is correct. All right, we give it a chain of thought process in order to figure all of that stuff out. We tell it how it's supposed to output its information right here. We tell it some things of what not to do. So don't set confirm to yes unless the user clearly confirms that all of the data is correct, right? If it gets the name wrong, you're going to be in trouble. If it gets the date wrong, you might be in trouble, right? You don't want to get any of these details wrong. They're important for client-facing presentation purposes. All right, no assuming partial confirmation. Don't fabricate anything. Don't make it up. No hallucinating. Don't guess or infer dates. Use only the provided data. And here we're giving it, 14 days worth of data right there, right? No altering the field names or structure. Never output anything other than the structured JSON. And so what we do is we give it some examples. Here's some information input, prior message. It gives us an output of this here: client name, meeting date, meeting type, coach notes, and confirmed. And then we do that again. And it's supposed to give us just that one output. We then come to this if node here. This if node is looking for whether the confirmed field is set to no, meaning have you confirmed that you have all of the information to the bot so far right now? Do you have it all? Does the bot have it all? If it's set to no, because this one has determined it does not have all that information yet, then it'll go up this top branch here. Now, this top branch is really one node with kind of my standard ending that I would end all of my bots with. So if I come down here, same thing, you got this kind of standard ending down here where I would send my message back to Slack. I edit a field, or I set some information into a field, and then I upload that information back into Postgres. So the human message and then the bot message. So I'm going to cover this here, and then when I get down here, I'm going to briefly go through it again. But just understand that this is kind of my standard ending to all my bots of how I make sure that I get a message back from the bot and all of my information is passed properly into my Postgres table so that I have an ongoing conversation that is always there that I'm able to reference. Okay, so the information that my info parser over here has found is going to come up to this agent here. All right, so we get our current message, the current thing that we're sending to the bot, our previous conversation history, what we've been saying back and forth with the bot. And then we also give it the client name, the meeting date, the meeting cadence, if we have pulled that. All right, because sometimes, again, if I say, hey, I had a meeting with Chase, but there's multiple Chases, the bot's gonna be like, yeah, I don't have the right one, right? It just doesn't know. Chase, who knows who Chase is? So the prior bot is not gonna give you a name. All right, this bot's gonna have to pull it from the previous conversation history or from your current message to know that you're saying Chase. All right, what this one does is it has access to a Google Sheets tool. All right, this Google Sheets tool is our client list. That's all it is. And so it's gonna be able to pull the client information. It's gonna be able to pull the name. It's gonna be able to pull the meeting cadence. It's gonna be able to pull your normal meeting date in order to be able to figure out any details that you might not have given it. All right. And again, if you don't yet have your Google stuff set up, so like Google Sheets, I'll put a link in the description below on how to set up your Google Cloud Console credentials. All right, so here we go. We got this AI agent, has access to this Google Sheets with our client list. Its job is to fill out the information that we did not fill out yet. All right, so client name may be empty, meeting date may be empty, meeting type may be empty, the coaching notes may be empty. All right, it's going to get the current user message and the entire conversation history if there is one. It has access to the Google Sheet tool, which has the full name, the meeting cadence, the email, and the notes. It doesn't have notes, actually, now I think about it. It does not have notes. All right, no notes. All right, tool usage. What it's going to do is it's going to call the Google Sheets tool if one of these fields is missing. So if client name is missing or blank or only partial, it's going to then search that Google Sheets in order to be able to find the correct name. If it finds the name, it's going to put it out as an output. If there are multiple matches, so if say there were multiple Chases in there, it's going to ask you for clarification. You need to tell me which Chase you're talking about. What is the name of the client so that it's able to do its job properly? If it doesn't find anything, it's just going to ask you flat out, hey, what's the name of the client? All right. It's going to look for the meeting type. So it's going to look up the client if it was able to find it. And if so, it's then going to find that meeting cadence, and then it's going to standardize it as either daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or quarterly. If it doesn't find it at all, it's going to ask you because it needs this information to be able to process through the rest of the workflow. It's not going to call the tool or guess the meeting date. All right, that has to be provided by you because it's not going to know. This bot's just not going to know if you had the last meeting or what the last meeting was. Like, you have to tell it, my last meeting last week or last Tuesday or whatever. And it should be able to figure out if you say something like last week, because it's going to pull that client list over here. And it sees here that you have what day your normal meeting date would be and normal cadence. It should be able to go back and see. Now, I wouldn't necessarily trust it because that's some logic that AI isn't quite ready for, but I do have some of that description in here that it should try to figure that out. Okay, output format, it's going to try to do a message to you with a headline called meeting summary, client name, meeting date, meeting type, and coach notes. All right, and then it's going to follow up. If all of the fields are present, it's going to say, can you please confirm the meeting summary above is correct? And if not, it's going to say if one or more are missing, could you please provide the meeting date, or could you please provide any notes or details about the meeting to add to the report? Because it needs that information to be able to process. All right, we give it a chain of thought to be able to figure out how to do all this stuff, what not to do. Don't guess, don't fabricate, don't hallucinate, don't look up or autofill the meeting date. That's again, it has to be provided by you. And then again, provided by you, and then the other AI agent is able to kind of infer where that was in its date map. Don't output any JSON. Don't omit any follow-up prompts. Do not use the tool results unless confirmed as unique and matched. And never include multiple user prompts, only one. And that's not particularly important, but we give it some examples here of the information that it's coming in, and then its current message, and then it's going to show you what the output is. So again, user message coming in, and it's going to show you the output of what it should look like. And then final output, return a cleanly formatted meeting summary list followed by a single actionable user or prompt, no commentary, no JSON. So that's in fact what we got up here. So we got our information, and then please confirm that the meeting summary above is correct. Beautiful, right? Okay, that's then going to send to us via Slack. So we have another Slack node. You're going to set up your bot credentials here. Resource is message, operation is send message to channel. The channel will be the bot that you have, the channel that you have the bot in, right? This message type is simple text message, and our message is going to be the output from that prior AI agent that just made that little snippet of text that we had it generate. It's going to be replying to a timestamp. All right, so message timestamp to reply to, we call that back from the merge node that we had that had our timestamp in it. And this makes sure that the message always gets added to the thread. And from here, we have an edit field node. And this edit field node will then be able to set the thread timestamp that the rest of the bot's going to be operating on. We'd no longer have to worry about that top anymore. It's always going to say, always going to have the thread timestamp from here on out for all purposes of logging information. All right. So we set our session ID with our user ID : thread timestamp, just the way we've been doing it. We have our text, which is just json.message.text that comes from the Slack node. Our user ID, we're just going to pull out of the merge node that came earlier. Our previous conversation chain will be coaching a summary. You can change it to whatever you want. And time added will just be now, right now timestamp. All right. This information is going to be passed into Postgres. So again, connect your Postgres credentials. Operation is insert. Schema is public. Table is your chat table for your bot. Values to send is going to be our session ID. And now in this case, I actually don't even need to worry about all this extra stuff. I can just have json.session_ID. Our message is human, our type is human, data, content, and here will be the message that we sent to the bot. So what's coming from the merge node, .text, that would be what we sent the bot. And then we have all of this extra .replace stuff here. This is in order to ensure that nothing extra is added that would break the Postgres upload. So no extra curly braces, no extra quotation marks, no anything like that, because that'll break the upload to Postgres. I make sure to include that so everything is nice and clean. Then we add the time added as well, and that will make sure that this is put into chronological order as compared to the bot message, which is about to come up here in the next Postgres node. All right, so here we have another Postgres node. Set up your credentials, operations insert, schema is public, table is the bot chat table that you have. Our session ID is the same, json.session_ID. This one's type of bot, data content. This one will be update the Postgres node .first.json.text. Now it doesn't have to be first because we're pulling from this edit field node right here. And this edit field node again was pulling the text from the Slack node. So this is the message that the bot is sending to us, all right? And what we do is we have all the same dot replaces because you got to strip out any extra offending marks. Responding to, and we'll put in the user ID number. Time added will be, in fact, this should not be that. This should actually just be now. Let's do that now. That'll make sure it gets in order. And then previous conversation chain is the conversation chain of the coaching summary, right? So that way it's all being passed forward properly. Interesting. Okay, now make sure I save that. Once all that information gets confirmed by the user, so it's going to come back through a second time. The bot is going to send you a Slack message, just like it sent me with the client name, meeting date, meeting type, coach notes, and all that. It's going to ask you to confirm. If you didn't have it all, it's going to ask you to update, and then it's going to ask you to confirm. It's going to keep sending you these messages until you confirm that all the information is correct. Once you say yes, it's then this if node is then going to go down this bottom branch here, which then starts the writing process. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use this Google Drive node. Okay, and so what we do is we have a resource, a file folder. Our operation is search. Our search method is search file or folder name, but we're not going to actually search anything here. Now, my thinking is when you're done with this process, you're going to remove this and put it into the client folder. Now, I could add, and I might, but you could add at the end of this workflow a way of automatically moving this document into the client folder. But for now, it's just there. It's going to sit here in the folder until you move it. So be aware of that. All right, we're searching in the folder after meeting report writer. This is what I have it called, after meeting report writer. So you want to set that up for yourself. And it's going to search for any of the files in there. Now, the reason I didn't have the search here was because I was thinking maybe there's the possibility of allowing them to do multiple things at a time. But one at a time, just do one at a time with this, all right? We have a wait node here, and the wait node is just because I found that when I ran it without the wait node, it broke. So it's a simple wait node. I think it waits like 2 seconds. That's all. And then what we're going to do is we're going to download the file that it found. So in this case, over here, we have our transcript file in a Google Doc. It's going to find this one file. It's then going to wait 2 seconds, and then it's going to download it based on the ID. It takes a second or two for that ID to process through. So that's why we have the 2 second. And what we're going to do is we're going to output it in a field called data, and we're going to turn the Google Doc into text. All right. That then gets run through this extract node here. We're going to extract from a text file. Our input's data, and we're going to output it as data. All right. So we're getting the Google Doc. It's going to have all of the text, and we're going to extract all the text out of it. That way we have the entire transcript. We then go get the client information. All right, and what we're doing here is we're going to pull from the sheet, our client file sheet. All right, here's our client list. It's going to go to the client folder or tab down here. All right, so it's going to the client tab based on the client name. And then it's going to pull all of the information off of this sheet. So all of the rows of the past meeting summaries that you've had. It's then going to grab just the last one. So we have a limit node here. We're going to grab just the last row. All right. That way, the AI agents moving forward also have all of the context of the last meeting that you've had with the client as well. So not only do you have the current meeting transcript, you have the summary that was generated based on your last meeting as well. So it's really cool. It really gives it that context of what's been going on with the client. And then we do one more Google Sheets pull. We're going to be pulling from our client list, which is the first page here, the first tab. And we're going to be grabbing out just the one client. In this case, it'd be Chase Kafunga. So just based on the one client name. All right. All of that then gets thrown through this process over here, our writing phase. Now, our writing phase, We have all these different system prompts, and for the most part, they're pretty much all the same setup, all right? The prompt itself of what it's writing about is different, but how it's writing it and what it's going to be doing with that data is all the same, because it's all going to be put back into a Google Sheet, like over here, and each of these is going to be added into its own column, all right? That way it has, each section is duly separated. It's all going to be written in HTML code. That HTML code will then be put into the PDF and it'll look really nice. So I'm not going to cover these super in depth because they're more or less all the same. Just be aware that if you want to change the functionality of any of them, you're probably going to have to change the functionality of all of them, all right? All of these AI agents. All right, so what we do is we're going to give it our current message to the bot. I always give the current thing I'm saying to the bot. We'll give the entire previous conversation history as well. That way the bot knows what we're talking about in that Slack thread. We give it the client name, we give it the client meeting date, the meeting cadence, as well as the key topics discussed in the last meeting. All right, so up here, there is a column somewhere, key topics discussed right there. This will be passed to this AI agent in order for it to be able to process and create the session overview. All right, and so what we do, it's a session overview composer. It's going to generate a section titled session overview formatted in HTML with the following components: session overview, date and time, coach, company, the main topics addressed in our previous meeting. Now be aware, this is where the placeholder values were. So I mentioned before, oh, there's placeholder values in the document. Well, this is where they are. So you want to update this right here and in the other document, in the other AI agents for your name, for your company name. All right. We make sure it tells the main topics addressed in the previous meeting. That way you carry that to the future. And we talk about the main focus and theme of this meeting and the topics addressed in this meeting. We give it these inputs, the metadata, including the meeting date, the meeting type, the client name, the coach name, again, fill that information in here, the coach company, put that in here. We give it the full transcript of our session with the client. That's going to fit right in here in the system prompt. And then we give it this chain of thought to go through it, how it's supposed to pull out the information, how it's supposed to generate it. And then one other thing to be aware of is if for some reason that you don't have a single dominant theme of the conversation, it's going to output a simple statement like a multi-focus session covering, and then it's going to cover a couple different topics. All right. So then we have some what not to do's, no including any dialogues or quotes from the transcript, never summarizing the whole thing line by line. It's not supposed to fabricate a theme. It's no hallucinating anything like that. It's not supposed to, do not omit the placeholders for coach name and company. So you're going to want to make sure that you put in your actual coach name and company. All right. And then coach name and company down here as well. So that way it gets put in there properly. Don't be vague, no including action items or next steps. This is just the overview, and no markdown or plain text. It's supposed to format this in HTML. All right, it's going to output that. That then is going to be then put into this Google Sheets node here. So again, your Google Sheets credentials, our resources sheet within document. Operation is append. So it's going to add to the bottom of the list, the bottom blank row. All right. Document is our coaching summary and recap document. Our sheet will be the client name. So you're going to want to, again, make sure that your tabs are the client name as they match up here in your client list. All right. We then are going to send some values, the last meeting date. We're going to send the transcript ID. So the ID of the Google Doc that we pulled the transcript from. That way you're able to go find it yourself if you need to. And a session overview. And so that's the output from the AI agent that we just had. All right, and that's all that this one's going to do. We then have key topics. Key topics gets all the same information. This one focuses on, I'm just going to come down here and just cover what it's going to output, because it's all the rest of it's the same. It has the same inputs. It's going to have the same chain of thought, pretty much. So what it's going to output, it's going to cover the key topics discussed, session summary, 1 to 2 paragraphs of the arc of the conversation, what you guys talked about, what you explored, the important things, that sort of thing. It's going to create a bulleted list of the summary of the main topics. It's going to create a bulleted list of the, it's an unordered list, so it's going to be bulleted, but yeah. Frameworks, tools, or models referenced, as well as any notable quotes. That's it. That's what this one is generating. And so we give it some instructions on how to do that. So it's going to list 5 meaningful topics and themes. It's going to include any tools or models and include those 3 to 5 short, emotionally or strategically insightful client quotes. All right, if you want to make your coaching quotes, write coach here instead of client. All right. I always find it's better to parrot the client's words back to them than the coach's, but whatever. Anyway, the Google Sheets node, what we're doing, again, same stuff, same sheet, same tab. We're matching based on the meeting date, and then we're going to upload those key topics discussed. That's it. JSON.output. Next one, client wins in progress. Same input. What we're doing is we're going to output client wins in progress, the session summary, once again, 1 to 2 paragraphs of what shifted, what was completed, what's the new self-awareness that emerged, what are the tangible wins or achievements, a list of those, mindset shifts or breakthroughs, a list of those, and positive feedback or reflections. So again, some more quotes there. And that is pretty much that one. Let's go through the next one. Challenges and roadblocks. This one, I guess let me not skip the Google Sheet real quick. All right, so again, same sheet, same tab. Here we're only putting in the client wins in progress. Okay, challenges and roadblocks. Open up the system prompt. What we're doing is, again, challenges and roadblocks, session summary, 1 to 2 paragraphs of what were they having trouble with, what was in the way, what is the matter, what's the limitations. And we talk about behavioral patterns or habits, situational or environmental constraints, and internal tensions or avoidance, the things that they're trying to avoid. That way we can present it back to the client. All right, so just some instruction on how to do all of that, some what not to do, some final outputs. Then we go back to our Google Sheets node, to a Google Sheets node, same sheet, same tab. All right, we're matching it up based on the date, and then we're outputting those challenges and roadblocks. Coming down further, let's keep going. We've got decisions and action items. Decision and action items, we are outputting decision action items, session summary, 1 to 2 paragraphs of the key decisions that were made, why they matter, and what they represent in the terms of the growth and the focus or accountability of the client. Any confirmed actions that need to be done and who will do them. So there might be a list of things that you will do in here as well, in addition to the client. Responsibilities, who owns what thing, and that might be the client's responsibilities. It might be the client's employees' responsibilities, right? As well as timeframes and check-in points. So when are deliverables due, what needs to be reviewed, and what is the time frame for that? That gets put into this Google Sheet node over here. All right, matching based on the date, and then just based on this item here, decisions and action items right in there. All right, coaches' observations and insights. This one, again, coaches' observations, insights, making a session summary about the coach's reflections based on your tone and energy and the themes that you brought up in the meeting, as well as your coaching notes. All right, what stood out? What patterns are being visible? What needs done? What have you mentioned that needs done in addition to the transcript? So what it's gonna note what's working for the client, gonna note mindset patterns or blind spots they may be missing, and any coach recommendations or gentle course corrections that you either have made or that you are recommending to them now. All right, that gets put into the Google Sheets again, matching based on the date, just simply right there, JSON.output. We then have this accountability plan. Open that up, accountability plan. Here we'll have what will be reviewed next session. So some items there. The metrics, goals, or KPIs being tracked. So what are they looking for, or what are you looking for them to hit? Support requested by the client. What are they saying they need help with? All right, and then those get all put into this Google Sheet right here, down here, just JSON.output under accountability plan. And then we have a couple more resources shared. So if you mention, oh, you should read this book, or oh, you should check out this tool, or oh, you should do this, it's important that the client understand that. So we have an output, resources shared. If there's any books, articles, tools, or templates that you mention, it's going to output them all. And if you mention like a website, it's going to make it a clickable link for them as well. I thought that was really cool. So session recording, that's if you tell them where they'll be able to find their link. And again, it'll give them a linkable, clickable link. And additional notes, slides, or attachments. Anything else that you said, where they would be able to find it, or what you went over, or anything that you covered that sounded like they were getting it, then it's going to show up in this section, right? All of that is then passed forward to our Google Sheets node again. It's going to match it based on date, just JSON.output. Next session details. All right, this one, we give it a little bit more. We give it a date map. And the date map, I'm going to explain a little bit here in a second, but we're going to say the time and date of the meeting, all right? And preferably you have confirmed in the transcript that, okay, I'll see you next week, or I'll see you next quarter, or whatever it is, all right? If you say that, then the bot will have an easier time of this. Otherwise, it's going to try to have to figure it out itself. If it's completely unknown, it's just going to be TBD, all right? But we give a tentative agenda or prep instructions based on what you guys said you're going to cover next time, and any pre-work that the client would need to do in order to be able to get ready for that meeting. All right, and so we give it instruction on how to do that, and then I give it this big old date map here. So what we do is I gave it today's date, tomorrow's date, and then I give it the next 2 weeks worth. All right, so that's today dot plus, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That way it understands a week from now, 2 weeks from now. I also gave it next month, plus or minus, a number of days. So, a month could be 30 days, but what if a Tuesday is, 34 days? Or what if you wanted to do it 28 days from now? I gave it that range. That way it's aware of what date it needs to put in there, as well as next quarter. So plus 88 to plus 94 days. All right. All of that then gets put into the Google Sheets again, right? Here we go, just JSON.output right there. And we have one more, we're almost done, all right? This one is gonna generate the title page. Nice and simple. We give it all that same information we've been doing before, but this time we're telling it that it's just gonna generate the cover page. It's not gonna include any body content, any sections, any headers, anything like that. It's gonna create the entire content block vertically, or it's gonna center it both vertically and horizontally in the middle of the page, using an H1 element, and it's going to put in the input of session summary title, okay? The title will be provided in the user input as session summary title. Use the title exactly as given, no modification or addition. All right, and so it's going to be executive coaching summary unless you want that different. This is where you're going to change it right here, executive coaching summary. And then it's going to input the client name, the meeting date, and then your coach name. You have to change this out, and your coaching company, you have to change that out. So then we have some examples of the input and then the output of how it's going to look. And it's going to all, again, it's all in HTML. So that's going to be, it's going to look proper on the PDF. All right. Don't add SWOT analysis. Don't add any extra titles or anything else. It's just supposed to be what you said right here. And you'll want to make sure that you change the example too, if you're not going to use executive coaching summary. All right, no extra attribution lines, don't include any like top level HTML tags or heads or anything like that. No adding page breaks or line breaks, never wrapping anything, no escape quotes, none of that. So just nice pure HTML code. And once it's all done, all of that, what you're gonna be ended up with is you're gonna end up with something that looks like all of this here, all right? So all of these different sections are all HTML coded so that it can be properly rendered into the PDF document that we're going to be generating. So once it writes that whole thing, what it's going to do is it's going to pull the client sheet one more time. All right. And it's going to pull it based on the client name, and it's going to parse it based on the meeting date. Now, don't worry about this right here. This node just hasn't run in this iteration. It will find the client name based on the sheet on the tab. And it's going to find the meeting date based on today's date, or the date that you gave it, more specifically, I'm sorry, the date that you gave it. And way back in the info parser, it pulled it out. All right, it's then gonna get, again, all of the different meeting summaries that you've had. And so we're gonna run it through another limit, and we're gonna pull just one item out, which should be the last one that we just added. We then run it through this code node here, which is gonna take all of those sections and it's going to combine them all into one item that's then going to be passed forward and turned into our PDF. All right, so it's going to grab each and every one of these things here in order. It's combining them all into just one output. That's then going to come over here to this PDF, this HTTP node here, and we're going to be using a service called API-template.io. Now I have this here. I love this service. I love this for making PDFs. They've got an awesome free plan that allows you to make 50 PDFs per month. For most people, that's more than enough. If you need like extended service, their low plan for $30 a month will let you make 1,500 PDF documents. Super awesome. I love this service. So again, that's API-template.io. Just set up your credentials. It's a really easy setup. You're going to use a predefined credential type. Credential type would be API-template.io. It's already built into N8N. And then you just set up your API key. I don't even think there's anything more than that. It was really, really easy. All right. What we're going to do is send query parameters using the fields below. First field is name. For the name, I have it set for the meeting date, pulled from the info parser, with the client name, and then meeting summary.pdf. You can name it whatever you want. Just make sure you end it with .pdf. We're going to send a body. The body that we're going to send is a little bit of code. All right. Don't be concerned about it. Basically, if you liked how mine looked, it's good enough. All right. And in fact, I'm a little confused here because I thought I turned off my headers and footers, but must have done that in a different bot. If you want that turned off, you just say false right here. False. So I'm going to have it as true. Otherwise, you can adjust your headers and footers to however you want. You'll be able to add in what you want. You might even be able to add in images. But the body here is the important part. This is where we're putting in the content. All right, so JSON with combined content. And then we have this dot replace here. And the dot replace is to prevent any stray quotation marks from breaking the darn thing. Because there's sometimes quotation marks in the body text. And if there's a stray quotation mark, it's going to break the JSON and it's not going to send to API-template.io. It's not fun. So I have this dot replace here in order to be able to pull that out and just make it so that this works right. All right, we have some CSS styling here. The CSS styling, I swear, this is slightly different than another bot that I did. But it works really well. So nice, simple CSS styling, basically just background is red. That's all there is to it. Name is, this is a title. You don't really need anything else. The paper setting is an A4 setting. Orientation is 1, which is, portrait. Headers, font size is 9. Margin is 40 on the top, 40 on the bottom, 10 on and left and right. And print background is 1, which is yes. And then display the header is true. So if you don't want the headers, you set that to false and just go ahead and delete these guys, all right? You can also change the CSS styling to make it look better, to change how the headers look, to change how the font looks, to add blocks and all of that. Just ask ChatGPT how to do that. I wanted to make it nice and simple for you guys. All right, what it's gonna do, it's gonna send that off to API-template.io. It's gonna generate our PDF for us. I guess I should have mentioned the endpoint. The endpoint is https://rest-us.api-template.io/v2/create-pdf-from-HTML. If you couldn't guess, it's going to create a PDF from an HTML, which is why we had it generate everything in HTML. Wonderful, right? We then have another HTTP node in order to download our file. So once it's made our PDF, we need to download it now. So we're just using a get with the URL download that we're going to get once it makes it for us. All right, our authentication is none. We don't need anything special. It's going to download the file, and then we can just send the email. So at this point, we're just going to go ahead and set up our Gmail credentials. If you don't know how to do that, I cover all of that in the Google Cloud Console API video, which is in the description in the link. The link is in the description below. I'm talking for a minute now. All right, resources, message, operation is send to the client email. And we got that from way back where we got the client email on one of the Google Sheets polls. All right, our subject is a meeting summary with the meeting date, the client name, and then coaching session. Again, you can change that to however you want. Email type is HTML. And here we have just a little bit of a message. You can write this however you want. Obviously, put your name in here where it says coach name. Hello, client name. Your meeting summary for our coaching session held on this date may be found attached. Again, you can make that however big or small or pretty or ugly as you want. All right, and we make sure we have an attachment of data because that is what we just downloaded. The PDF is going to be called data. We want to make sure we attach that data here in order to be able to send the PDF. One other thing, make sure to turn on the option of, turn off, I should say, the option of append N8N attribution. It may not show up originally. Like if you download my workflow, it absolutely will. It'll already be all set up. But if you try to remake this yourself, make sure to turn that off. It just looks tacky that it says made with an automation from N8N. All right. All right. So that's going to send it off to the client. For you, you want to make sure that you get notice that it sent it off to the client. So we have one more response here. All right. We don't need to call that Roger. That's from my personal bot. All the bots that I make are my personal bots that I then try to turn into bots that I give away to the public. So sometimes you'll see a stray Roger somewhere because I named my bot Roger. But anyway, we give it the client name. We give it the client meeting date. That's all we're giving it. We give it a quick system prompt that simply says that it's supposed to inform the coach that the requested meeting summary or report has been completed, that the delivery has been completed, and that it was sent to the client's email address. That's it. There's nothing much else to it. It's going to keep it clear and short, warm and confident. Don't discuss the contents of the report. It's not even going to get them, so it doesn't matter. No offering any feedback or recommendations. No mentioning drafts or anything like that. And we just give it the simple. The meeting summary you requested has been completed and sent to your client at their email. Let us know if you'd like us to assist with anything else. Easy enough. And then it goes through my closing process. So it's going to send it to me via Slack, which I covered before. All right, so set up your bot credentials. Send message to channel, specifically to the channel that you want the bot to be conversing in. So the one where the thread is. All right, message itself is just the output of the AI agent. And the timestamp that we're applying to is that timestamp way back from the merge node. Same timestamp all over again. Just make sure it goes into that same thread. We have the edit field node locking down our session ID. Now at this point, we should already have the session ID because when we first spoke to the bot, it responded asking for confirmation. So we don't need to recreate the session ID again. We're just going to pull it from the merge node. The text is going to come from that Slack message the bot just sent us. This is our user ID. Previous conversation chain is coaching summary, and the time added is now. All right, we're going to upload the human message. Human message is just the message that we sent the bot via the Slack communication. It should be something like, yes, I approve it, go ahead. All right, nothing special about that with all the dot replaces. And our time added is now. And we have the bot one. And again, there's that extra Roger that I should have removed, but I didn't. Come on, here, we'll just do it this way. All right, so we have our session ID pulled from our set field node. The message is coming from the Slack that was sent to us. Our responding to is the user ID, timestamp, and then the previous conversation chain. And then one last thing we're going to do, we're going to go back to our Google Sheet, and we're going to update our client list page here to make sure that our last summary sent has when we sent our last summary to the client. All right, and so then we just come out here, we match it to the client name, and then we input today's date with year, month, day. And that's it. That is the after meeting report writer. It allows you to take those transcripts and turn them into beautifully crafted PDF documents that get sent to your client, letting them know everything that you talked about, covering everything. It allows you to, if you want, you could attach a version that is going to go to you as well. That way you have a copy of it for their records. That way you can see what the bot said as well and know what action items you're supposed to be acting on. Or you could build this workflow out to be able to make sure that there's another branch for, after it determines what the action items are, maybe it pings you for those things. Either way, really cool for coaches of all various types and stripes. And if you want today's workflow, you can have it absolutely free. Simply go down to the link below to join my free school community. Find it right there as soon as this video goes live. I have a ton of other workflows. I got social media posting bots. I've got executive assistants, lead scrapers, all kinds of tools. I just got so much in there, and I'm giving it all away for free to you. And if you found this video helpful, if you found this workflow helpful, Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. It really does help get this information out there to those who need it. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.